Hey everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel. I'm Twisted to be in this video. I'm gonna take a few minutes just to talk about our debt-free journey. What prompted us to go into this crazy journey of paying $240,000 in a little over 27 months. So, welcome. As you guys know, we're followers of the Dave Ramsey Baby Steps, and just wanted to mention how we got started with the whole Dave Ramsey baby step thing. Finished the usual American dream is you go to college, you finish college, you get a job. If you get a job, you buy a house, you get kids, you get into debt through the whole process of being in college, getting student loans, get some more debt, buying a house, get some more debt, buying a car, get into some more debt, having a baby, because babies are not as cheap. They come with a price. And then by the time you put everything together, you're in tremendous amount of debt. So for us, I had just finished graduate school, and we had gotten a decent job offer in the Midwest, and we were moving from Florida to the Midwest for a job position. And since you've finished college, the next step is buying a house, and that's what we're planning to do. So we talked to a couple different mortgage companies. To what they told us was we had too much student loan debt, and they were not giving us really reasonable interest rates at the time. I know the interest rates are really crazy low right now, but at the time they were giving us some ridiculous amount, quote in interest rates, and the reason being they were giving us such a high interest rate was because we had so much student loans. And at some point being in college, you might have missed a payment here or there. So I think we missed one payment in one of the cards that we had, and that was flagged as a negative in our credit report. So they said, no, because of that, you are not gonna qualify for a really good rate. So with them saying that, oh, you guys have a really large amount of debt, that kind of rang a bell with us. Like, what do you mean we have too much debt? Because essentially, my undergraduate, I didn't have any debt. My wife had some amount of debt, but it wasn't really crazy bad. So we were really not worried about how much debt we had up to that point. And so when they said that, it kind of started putting things in perspective. Because we're moving to a different city. At that time we were expecting first baby, and you just want to have the perfect place for being in a new city, having a new baby. They having their own place and all that stuff, place to play, and that was kind of our goal at the time. And then so the reality kind of hit when they said that you're not gonna qualify. So we kind of had to reevaluate things really quick and come up with a plan on what to do and how to tackle this amount of debt that they are mentioning that we had. And she's going to mention it towards the end of the video of how much this actual value and break it down into the actual amounts that we had in those specific debts. While in graduate school, there was one of this surgeons. She used to come to the operating room. She was an avid Dave Ramsey follower. So, and I think she used to just listen to Dave Ramsey when she was coming to work in the morning. And so during the cases, sometimes surgery cases can take a while. So she used to tell us stories of people calling into Dave Ramsey, having this tremendous amount of debt and trying to buy a car, having this huge amount of debt, trying to buy a house, having this debt, trying to go on vacation, having this debt, trying to go to Disney and all this. So, the way she mentioned it was really funny. So it was kind of a joke in the war and, kind of made people laugh. And at that time, we really didn't know what or who Dave Ramsey was. We just kind of enjoyed the laugh in the operating room. So I bring that up because when these people mentioned us having so much debt, I remembered those stories of, people that have a huge amount of debt and they're trying to do things and they will yell at them and tell them that is stupid, that is dumb. So I remember that, and it was right about the time, I graduated, I got all my licenses ready to go. So I had at least a couple months of free time before I started working. So I decided one of the days just to YouTube who Dave Ramsey was and hear what's his perspective on this things. I watched one video, and for the rest of the 2 months I was free, I was just watching Dave Ramsey left and right. And it just clicked. It just, some of the points that he mentioned in some of the videos kind of hit home. You don't want to be a slave, to the lender. And watched a few Dave Ramsey, debt-free screams, seeing people, making a fairly small amount of money compared to what I was making, or was supposed to be making at the time, and then paying off huge amount of debts at the same time. Needless to say, we had a few trips planned after, graduation. You want to have a big one, huge celebration and big trip before you start working. Of course, we ended up doing, one small, tiny trip that didn't cost too much, but I really, really got serious into the principles. I brought it up to my wife. I've been listening to Dave Ramsey, and I had bought the Total Money Makeover, and I'd read it in a few days, and I gave it to her. I told her, well, this is what we have to do, and I think she bought it right away, and then the fights started. Yeah, we could never agree on the budget. And I think this is one thing that most people struggle with as far as coming up with plans. Becoming debt free. It takes sacrifice for you to do that. So I think one of the advantageous things that worked for us is, we got introduced to him right away. We were both, I was in graduate school, she was, starting graduate school. Fairly small amount of living expenses we had at the time. She had a job, but some portion of it came from, living off her student loans while in graduate school. So we kept our expenses low, and I think that kind of helped with coming up with our budget plans. We had a decent amount of money coming in, but then we couldn't agree on what to cut, how much to budget for everything. Having a new baby, you want to buy every single nice thing as well. And of course, the plan for buying a house kind of died right away after we learned a little bit about Dave Ramsey, because at that time we figured he'll be yelling at us if we're trying to buy a house or go ahead with the plan of buying a house at that time. So we came up with a budget, and of course never followed it for the first 3-4 months because it was just too difficult. That's not something we did. So we kept adjusting and readjusting and just trying to make it work. One concept though is we did come up with a number. We said that whatever you do, this month, make sure that this amount of money goes towards debt. We wrote down our debts, smallest to largest. We were able to clear a few small ones, and then started getting serious when we saw that the amounts were going down, and then just kept up with it. Enjoyed the struggle through the way. It wasn't fun through the whole journey, but it's definitely doable. You have a plan and you have a goal in sight. So, with the initial plan that we came up with, the goal was to do everything in 24 months and we particularly came up with that goal of 24 months because that's how long it took us to accumulate the hugest amount of part of the debts that we had. So we figured since it took us the 24 months to go in, probably should take us 24 months to get out. And that's how we Multicaller came up with the 24 months goal for this. So we came up with a plan. We divided the amount of money that we had that we had in total in debt, and then we divided it with the 24 months, and we came up with roughly 8,000, probably 8,000, 9,000, I think was the number that we had come up with as to what was supposed to be our fixed monthly payment that will be going towards debt. Now, coming up with that huge amount of money at that time was a lot of money. Working and then paying 8,000 every month was, especially that first month after graduate school. You've been in school for such a long time, and then you have freedom again, and then you're just throwing 8,000, 9,000 a month towards debt. You're not even enjoying the fruits of your labor at the time. That was not fun. But we had a goal in mind, and we were not even close to that 8,000 number. So we figured, how is this going to happen? Of coming up with this amount. That's what the idea of working extra job, picking up extra, working school night here and there, just to magically meet that number. And then so we had that 8,000 at the top, of our budget sheet, and then everything else was kind of subtracted or minimized from that, and that kind of helped solidify our budget at the time. So the other thing that kind of helped with the coming down of the debt, we automated everything. So things like your water bill, your electric, your cable, which really we didn't have cable, we just had internet and a lot of YouTube. I think Sling is what we've been watching. It's cheap. It's way better than the 120, 130 that we paid for having cable. And automated everything, and then whatever that was left on the budget at the end of the month, some of it went back to debt, and then a little bit of it was saved for fun. And that's how we did. We kept chugging along slowly but surely. Just paying down as much as we can. And then, of course, this was not smooth sailing through the whole process. But, you had to just stick to the goals that you put down initially to get it done. And that's what we did. And, we were not able to do it in 24 months like we had initially planned. We did it in 27 months, partly because COVID happened somewhere in between, and you were not able to do as much overtime as we were doing at the time during the COVID times, which necessitated trying to find a different position that even included us, somebody driving out of town to go work extra and then come back, on a weekend, have fun. And I think having a baby, the whole process kind of helped too as well, because you had struggled too much before to get to this point, and then now you're at this point, you don't feel like you're enjoying yourself because you have this weight behind you that's making it a lot more difficult for you to enjoy yourself the way you want it to. And you do not want that for another human being. And in this case, really didn't want that for our son. We immigrants, we have struggled through the whole process. We have worked really hard, working, going to school and doing all this and this. And then just imagining your son going through that whole struggle that you underwent. Personally, it did make me, kind of proud. And that was other fire that was burning in me, and me to get this goal, getting the debt, and at least getting a college fund for him, making life less of a struggle than we had to face through this whole process. So he was the fire that kept us going, and it got us here to being debt free. Now that you're debt free, it's a different feeling. It's an amazing feeling. If you feel like it's impossible, it's a baby step. The 24 months, now it doesn't seem as that long, but being in the process, the 27 months are a really long time. But you just have to do what you have to do, and that's what we did. We had to do what we had to do, and all of a sudden, I think of getting ourselves a decent raise, and I don't think the banks will be saying, "Oh, you have a bad credit," anymore. No, that is, you have bad credit or you have too much debt. I don't think they have an excuse now to give us the crazy interest rate and the denial that they were submitting to us. So that's another thing. Being in debt, somebody else controls you. But when you're out of debt, you take back that control. And I think where we are right now, we've taken back the control of the crazy lives and the crazy schedules that we had. Now we can just sit back, relax, enjoy a little bit. My son is getting to our age where he's getting to know little things here and there, and now, you don't have any debt. You're able to spend more time with it. It's all about family, fun, investing, saving, sharing, and doing all that. That's kind of the most important things. Another thing in the middle of the journey, we take a trip to, back home, and volunteering was one of the things that I wanted to do, and met one of the missionaries there. They also talked about their life with Dave Ramsey, how Dave Ramsey had changed their life, and now they're able to do missionary work without having any issues or money concerns, and that kind of lit a fire. Actually, after I came on that trip, I started looking for a second job, because I figured if we do that, we'll be out of debt a lot quicker. We can do a lot more missionary work and volunteer stuff, and of course, that's shortly after that COVID hit. I was able to get a second job a few months later, and Caroline was a lot busy. She was graduate school and having a baby and working. That was kind of a big struggle, so we kind of had to have her cut down a lot on her working hours and just focus on being a mom and finishing graduate school. And I'll just do the extra work of coming up with the money to pay the bills, and that's what we did. She's done with graduate school. She actually got a decent job, which hard work pays. So, you guys, if you feel like you're in a position that it's impossible to do it, just know that where there's a will, there's a way. You just have to work hard for it. Don't quit on the way. Surround yourselves with the right people that will keep you motivated to keep going, and you'll get it done. So, anyway, there's a lot of rambling in the video, but the whole goal is you just have to come up with a plan. You have to know your why. You're doing something, and then plan accordingly to towards your why that you're doing the thing. I'm gonna give you a breakdown of all the debts and how it came about, and then in the next video she's gonna get into more specifics on what we actually